here's our job for today. We got to come through here and bush hog as much of this as we can. Got the fence over here. It looks like it went down. Somebody must have gone off the highway. I don't want to get over there in the fence. But we're going through here and clearing this area out all the way back to, there's a big billboard back here. And we're doing this for the company that owns the billboards, and cleaning up through here all the way down to a creek. So you can see how high everything's gotten. It's been a couple of years since they've done it. And we're having to charge them a little bit more than I want to charge, but I mean, a lot of this we have to do by hand. When you get down here, there's some hills. And then on the other side of the creek, you can see off behind the billboard. I don't know if you can see that or not. There's a really steep hill over there. So we'll have to come back around. And I think that was a buzzard up there, so he's probably eating something dead, so I'm probably going to hit that with the bush hog. That'll be fun. So that's what we got going on. Got some good help today, so hopefully this won't take us too long. And we got crap like TVs and junk back here. Come back here and just throw the crap. I don't know why. I guess that's just the thing to do. But all the way on the other side over there, there's a creek down at the bottom over here. And then all the way over at the other side, we've got to get all of that. So got to work cut out for us today. can see here, I'm getting ready to hop off the tractor and take a look down on the ground and try to follow where that ditch is going down to the creek. I wanted to make sure I had a good understanding of where it was going and didn't feel comfortable in the seat until I did, because I was worried I was going to put a wheel in it and tip over the tractor, get myself stuck, and had to fight for an hour or two to get it out. So rather than do that, I just decided to get off the seat and figure out where it was going, how it was heading, and before I started going again. Now you can see the weeds are really tall. They're about chest height on me, and I'm 6'2". They were taller than the tractor. And I apologize for the angle here. The camera angle really sucks. I'm gonna have to figure out another position, maybe on top of the roll bar or something, you know, when I'm bush hogging. But I tend to leave the grapple up or the bucket up if I've got the bucket on there. That way I'm not pushing over the weeds, because what I've found is if I'm pushing them over with the bucket, they'll snap back up after the bucket passes, and it flings the seeds all in the grill and the radiator and ends up clogging it up faster than if I just leave the bucket high and just allow the brush guard on the front right there at the radiator to push it over instead of the bucket. Here we are, kind of wrapping up this side, and I'm just going to take the same drive in we took when I was in the truck and we were going in. So this is all the same stuff you saw on the beginning of the video with the truck going in, and it's we got as far on each side as we could, and there's a lot of washout on these hills that just prevented us from being able to get over there anymore with the tractor, just because it was just a huge washout and not able to get in there and to do much better. Most of what you see on the left hand side is just where the fence is absolutely covered, and really can't do anything with it unless we clear the other side as well, because it's just kind of growing on the highway side on over the fence and kind of taking over the fence. So we really need to get on the other side, but you know, that takes a special permit, you know, for vegetation removal, and you know, the insurance requirements are ridiculous. So I have to up my insurance amounts whenever I'm doing stuff with a DOT permit. So it's just not worth the headache sometimes, particularly on a job like this, because then it just makes it even more expensive for us to be able to handle for them, because the government got involved. So, but you can see it's much wider through there. All that's knocked down. Like I said, that stuff was probably a good 4 or 5 foot tall initially, and so we got all the way down to the billboard and beyond, down at the creek, and it was a little antsy at times down there near the creek, just because it was a fairly steep drop to get down into the creek. So in certain places it was probably like a 10-foot drop or so, and you know, so I was just kind of backing up the bush hog until I could see that the wheel was no longer touching the ground, and then kind of knew we were at the edge. But at the same time, it's sloping down toward that creek, so that will get a little bit
get a little bit of a pucker factor going on. So we'll cut to some video on the other side, and you'll be able to see what we had to start with on the other side, how much we had to do by hand. You can see it behind the billboard there as we're kind of closing in. That hill just kind of comes straight down, and I could probably do it with an excavator, but this was about, on this side alone, was about a little bit over a quarter-mile stretch that we were doing. And over on the right, you can see the TVs that some Yahoo just came in there and dumped TVs back there. So we ended up picking that up for the customer, and we'll haul those off to the recycle center and get those disposed of. But there were stacks of logs and stuff back in here that we couldn't do anything with necessarily, and a lot of down here by the creek we just had to get by hand, and that was some really thick stuff, and we were using string trimmers and it was just chewing up the string. So we need to get some brush blades next time we do this. And so we're going to get the customer on a more of a rotation for doing this, you know, a couple times a year rather than once every. This was about 2 or 3 years worth of stuff that had grown up. So, but over on the right hand side, it was really steep off in there, you know, but straight off where in front of the grapple, that's about a 6-foot drop down to the creek bed. So you can see all that brush on the other side. There's a log pile there we couldn't do anything with, but you can see the other side there. And so we're getting ready to take lunch and then drive off to the other side, and we had to drive around to the next exit and access it from that side. So that's all we got. All right, now we're on the other side here. That creek is a huge drop off, so there's no passing over this way. And all back right in there, it's just a straight drop about 10 feet straight down to the creek. And so we could only get so close to the edge of what we had. But as you can see, that looks a whole lot better. So we're getting ready to take this out right here. The guys are going to start doing that by hand, working their way down to the creek, and then back up over here, and then all the way back up on the other side. And you know, I'll walk that here in just a minute and try to get as much as we can with the tractor. But guys, this is what you get left when you have things forestry mulched. Now, for this application, yeah, in certain applications they can keep the doors closed and grind it up a lot finer, so you don't have as big as pieces. But this is still kind of what you end up when you do the forestry mulching. You end up with a cushion of stuff. No matter how fine they grind it, you've got a cushion of mulch. And you know, for certain applications, that's fine. If you're in a situation like this where you don't want anything to grow back and you just want to leave this mulch here and let that just decompose over the years, that's great. But if you think you're going to do some forestry mulching and come in and do a building or something like that, that just ain't going to happen. You're going to have to clear all that stuff away. But it's like I said, forestry mulching, it has its applications, but it's not always the solution that you might need. So here we go, let's get busy. Well, there we have it. This is on the other side where that billboard is. You can see where we got this morning, and then we had to, after lunch, come in from the other side because you got that creek there, and it just really drops off in there, and without a bridge there's no way to get around that. So we came all the way down the hill up there where the guys are. You can see the tractor up there. It's too steep. I might could get in here with the excavator, I probably could, and then work my way down here with a mulch head and do a little bit better job. So I'll probably do that next time. But this was an initial clearing that we were doing. So we had to do from up there
where the guys are, all the way down to the creek. They did that by hand with string trimmers and brush blades and stuff. We ended up getting the hedge trimmers out because some of this stuff was just too weedy, too woody, if you will, for us to cut them with the string trimmer. So we got to get down in here, I think, with and there's some big logs and stuff down in there. So we really need the excavator to kind of chuck that stuff out of the way and get in there. There's some trees in there that need to be cut down, but I need a chainsaw to do that. They were too thick to get with even a brush blade. So all in all, a day's work. The terrain was terrible. The brush on the brush cutter could handle the brush no problem, but the terrain is just terrible. I was able to get the bush hog and come back to about this point right here, but I wasn't going to go in that little steep part because I was afraid I wouldn't be able to get back out, and I didn't particularly want to try to bring my truck back here. Well, there she is, all the way up to the top and on over. All done.